Alright, YouTube, it's time for a slightly strange theory time. And that's that James Comey might be very well right now be helping Donald Trump, despite looking like he's actually attacking him. The media right now is reporting, the corporate media, of course, the legacy media, is reporting heavily on the fact that Comey has very publicly come out. Once again, he goes public with something that I guess the Democrats wish he'd sort of keep hush hush. Very publicly comes out and says, "Oh, DOJ, back me up here. We never wiretapped Trump Tower now, did we?" Now, hasn't he done this before, right before the end of the Clinton server investigation, where he essentially confirmed all of our worst fears about Hillary and then simply declined to bring charges because he was told by the DOJ, he was told by Loretta Lynch probably, "Oh, yeah, we're not going to let you bring charges. We'll never actually investigate further. You can go fuck yourself." I think that James Comey's tired of having to deal with the Obamas and the Clintons of the world. I see a man who in his address looked very much like he wished that he could prosecute Hillary Clinton and have a cooperative DOJ to help him do that. And so instead, because he wasn't able to do that, he simply spelled it out for everyone to see. Oh yeah, classified material was sent and received. Any reasonable individual would have known this was wrong. Virtually every security protocol was utterly broken. It's entirely possible, although we can't prove it, that foreign nations gained access to this material. Some of it was secret when it was sent and received as well. But we're not going to prosecute her, of course, that was the caveat. Because they couldn't. The FBI couldn't prosecute Hillary Clinton, couldn't get her prosecuted, because you think Loretta Lynch is actually going to do that? Of course she's not. So now Comey comes out and says, "Oh, DOJ, back me up. Oh, I claim we never wiretapped Trump Tower. I know nothing about this. It never happened." If Comey knew that a wiretap had occurred, and he didn't like the fact that it did, he thought it was fucking fishy, and he doesn't like Obama, he doesn't like Hillary Clinton, he doesn't like having to deal with the DOJ for years that dragged its heels and did everything to stop him from conducting a thorough and fair investigation. What would be the best way forward without publicly coming out, getting perhaps an enormous shit for things similar to what he did with his very public letter on the subject many months ago? What would be the next best thing? "Oh, DOJ, back me up," because he knows a wiretap did occur. The DOJ can't deny that a wiretap occurred without hanging themselves, so he simply puts pressure on them while looking like he's pleading for their help. "Oh, please, DOJ, back me up. I didn't wiretap Trump Tower. The NSA didn't wiretap Trump Tower. It never happened. It's fake news." But the DOJ can't come out and back him up and make a statement on this because the wiretap actually occurred. It's his way, I think, of putting pressure on them, making it more evident to anybody who's still got the clarity of mind to look at what the fuck he's actually saying, that a wiretap did actually occur. The FISA warrants were issued. It's real. It actually happened. A sitting president of the United States, his DOJ, commanded the NSA and other groups to conduct surveillance on the hub of a major political campaign from an opposition party. This further reinforces my view that what we saw yesterday with Mark Levin is probably true. It's probably factual that this actually happened, which is deeply disturbing. Comey does not appear to be an ally of the sort of globalist left. He does not appear to like these people, probably because in the bureaucratic strangulation of the DOJ and the interference of the CIA, the FBI has been sucking hind tit for years. And probably he's tired of that. Here he is, the head of this agency, a very important intelligence agency, one of the few that actually has accomplished something of significance for the last 50 years. Here he is, the head of an old guard bureaucratic entity, feeling like we should be at the top of the world within the intelligence world. And yet all anyone wants to talk about or pay obeisance to is the CIA or the NSA. It's like the FBI almost doesn't even exist and has become vestigial. What better way to get back at these other bureaucrats and their political backers, who are apparently weaponizing intelligence agencies anyway, if this tale is actually true, than to make them look like total assholes, knowing full well that they can't deny that the wiretap occurred? I think Comey may be running interference for Trump. Trump's feigned displeasure at what Comey said may be just that. Exactly. It might be feigned. Or it might be real. Maybe Trump's not even aware that this is happening. To Trump, I'd say you should probably haul Comey in and talk to him one-on-one off camera. You should probably get a sense of what his feelings on this actually are and not assume that he's doing something wrong. He could be the best ally that you've currently got in any intelligence agency, and you don't even appear to maybe realize it, or maybe they're in it together and this was all designed to begin with. Now, it makes no sense. Why would Comey give a fuck? Why would he publicly come out? Why would he put himself in the limelight on such an issue, where he's at odds supposedly with the President of the United States, who can basically have his job at any time and force him out? Why would he come out and do that after also alienating the Democrats? You know, he's already alienated all the Democrats. He can't rely upon them to have his back. Why would he then go and alienate the sitting President of the United States by trying to appeal to a DOJ that right now is in confusion and turmoil anyway, to back him up, when even if the claim weren't true, they probably still wouldn't actually reflect on it publicly? And why would he do it publicly? Why would he come out in front of the audience of the United States of America at large and say, oh yeah, I need some backup here. You should disclaim that this ever happened. You should deny it. Because, oh, we would never do this. We would never spy on Trump Tower. And then we find out, of course, Jeff Sessions was under surveillance. He was at Trump Tower. Therefore, yeah, there was surveillance at Trump Tower. It's getting weirder and weirder and weirder by the day. So, like, you make a video on the topic by the next day, but 24 hours later, everything that you've said or thought is probably outdated because it's moving so quickly. This looks like a massive, massive cover-up. This looks like a massive issue. This looks bigger than like the Hillary server or Benghazi shit that people ruminated over for so long. This looks like it's far more significant. We've got a situation where either someone directly under Obama, probably Loretta Lynch, commanded espionage on an opposition political movement and then tried to cover it up while weaponizing all other intelligence agencies, now getting possibly called out by the director of the FBI. We've either got that scenario, or we've got a scenario where the Trump campaign was actually caught up in conducting affairs that weren't proper with foreign states. Now, when I look back, I say the latter is far less likely. I happen to believe that Trump is blameless in this, specifically because the Russia stuff started a long time ago, was probably part of a designed campaign anyway, and had to do with the DNC servers. It had very little, honestly, to do directly, at least, with the Trump campaign. I look at that and I say, the CIA's report states that it's essentially opinion, has no basis in anything surveillance related. The the DOJ, I believe's report was pure speculation, came with a disclaimer. What evidence actually is there that Trump or anyone associated with Trump was engaged in unlawful or immoral contact with the Russian government? There is none. If there is, it hasn't been given to us. I'd think that that would be like the golden goose, actually, of taking down the Trump presidency. I would think that if they actually had that evidence, they would have probably released it during the election to take him down. Clinton gets elected. Or maybe they've got ulterior motives. They would have waited like a week and said, oh yeah, by the way, the Russian claims are true, so they could impeach him. That would actually be something they could get him for. So that then they can crush the Republican movement. They sweep everything in the midterms probably at that point. But neither of those things has happened, which leads me to believe that this political witch hunt, which is what it looks like, came up with zero evidence when they realized that there was no evidence, even if they originally speculated that it could be true. When they turned up no evidence, they said, shit, well, we've got to cover our asses on this because we just committed potentially treason against the new administration, against the United States at large. We completely overstepped our constitutional authority in every way, shape, and form. And now Comey, maybe he's trying to save his ass. Maybe he's partnering directly with somebody related to Trump in this whole thing and putting pressure on the DOJ to get him to deny that which he knows full well they can't actually deny. Now, this is just a theory. It could be that tomorrow the DOJ does come out and say, yeah, no wiretap occurred. We don't know what the fuck Trump is talking about because it never happened. Even then, I'll be suspicious that it did. If all these other people are, Sessions and so forth, are under surveillance and they happen to be operating largely out of Trump Tower at many times, it's at least reasonable to say that that surveillance extended to the phones and the emails and so forth that were associated with Trump Tower, lest those individuals make use of them and escape entanglement with that surveillance that would have been ongoing under whatever warrant was procured to do so. So it does make sense. The FISA stuff, some people claim they've seen the warrants. I don't know, maybe they have, maybe they haven't. At the very least, it would be odd if the first warrant, the oddest part is probably the fact that it was shot down the first time. It must have been a very wide-reaching net that they were casting to get turned down by that specific body, this extrajudicial body of judges that nonetheless are not acting in an official judiciary capacity, but rather at the behest, it seems, of the executive branch when they're doing this. This program shouldn't exist. Even if we think that there's the possibility that such wrongdoing has occurred, on either side, by the way, let's face it, that agencies are being weaponized for political purposes or for any other dishonest purpose, then it shouldn't exist. The surveillance apparatus that makes that sort of overreach possible should be abolished for the protection of our republic. This goes well beyond, Trump and Russia, Obama and weaponized agencies. It goes beyond that. You'd think that the left would be more worried about the concept of weaponized agencies. You'd think that the so-called left would be like, whoa, this whole thing is very interesting, but doesn't this mean that the Fourth Amendment is essentially null and void in our country? You don't hear them saying that. You hear them sitting there clapping with glee, thinking that Trump is about to get impeached. They're so far out there, they've lost their minds, honestly. But I have a suspicion that Comey may be asking the DOJ to disclaim this, to deny that it happened, specifically because he knows that they can't. They can't do so because it actually, the tale is more or less actually true. That's just my theory. It could be I'm completely and utterly wrong. It could be that we never know the answers. It could be like the Clinton server stuff, where we know there's wrongdoing, but we're not sure about all the behind-the-scenes malarkey that went on, honestly. All the shenanigans involving Loretta Lynch and all of these others. Seems a little bit odd, though. All these people remaining in D.C., probably to coordinate with intelligence agencies to cover their ass. Maybe Obama and Lynch and all these others are still there because they're trying to tie up loose ends before they get discovered as having conducted espionage on an opposition political party. Maybe that's the reason they're there. Maybe it has nothing to do with trying to directly denigrate Trump, so much as slowing him down to the best of their abilities while they try to get rid of evidence of wrongdoing. It's entirely possible that that's actually the case. I wouldn't put it past him. If Bush had acted in this manner, all the Democrats for years would have said, oh, he's obviously trying to escape punishment for war crimes or for the overreach of the Patriot Act or something like that. He's afraid he's going to get thrown in a prison cell. They would have said that. But Obama and all of his allies, they stick around and still communicate with these people and remark cryptically on what's going on in the U.S. government. And all of a sudden they think that it's okay. It's just another example of hypocrisy and double standards. Republicans do that too, let's face it. But it's especially marked this time. Because now, of course, the corporate media is involved. They fucking hate Trump mostly. And those that don't hate Trump suck his dick all day, and they're never going to hold him to account, even if you could prove, yeah, he sucked Putin's dick literally for weeks and weeks as part of a general campaign strategy. Even if that happened, like Breitbart and Drudge, they never call him out on it. And all these other networks, Trump could save 1,000 dying orphans he could let them take his kidney and splice it up and put it in one person and donate a chunk of his liver to this other sick child and pay for leukemia treatment for 10,000 people. And they'd just come out and say, oh, what a horrible person. It must have, did that money come from Russia? Ha ha, Trump is stupid. Or something like that. There's no accountability anymore within our corporate media. These people have lost their fucking minds left, right, and center. And it doesn't help when you have people like James Comey, of all people, who is seen generally as maybe level-headed. He comes out and makes a fucking cryptic remark to the DOJ publicly and directly, almost in defiance of standard protocol, just like with his letter before, was, oh yeah, we're reopening the Clinton stuff. We found new material on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. That's about all. Peace out.